Name and catch with Commissioner Cooper.
Dear Lord, we ask you to be with us today as we go about the business of the county. Ask you to have us, for us to have a safe holiday season as we're traveling to and from. Be with our men and women in uniform. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 4, approval of minutes of prior meetings, being a regular meeting on November the 12th and a special meeting on November the 18th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item number 5, Sharon Overstreet Treasurer, presentation and approval of cash statement.
Our cash balances as of today, November the 25th, 2013. General checking account, we have $1,069,373.67. Our tax pool account, we have $3,626,132.94. Total monies of $4,695,506.61. Our tax pool rate is 0.0387%.
Has it gone up some?
No, sir.
I move we approve the cash statement.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item number 6, Sharon Overstreet, presentation approval of registered claims to be canceled by court.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 7, Lawrence Partham, auditor, payment of county bills.
We have pre-approved expenditures for November the 13th of 2013 of $1,463.91. Our pre-approved expenditures for November the 19th of 2013 of $8,434.46. Our pre-approved manuals for the period 11/12 of 2013 to 11/25 of 2013 was $24,604.94. Commissioners Court today, November the 25th of 2013, we're submitting $168,043.84 for total claim submissions of $202,547.15.
We will pay the bills as presented.
We have payroll,
We're not through.
at the last Commissioners Court. Our gross payroll was $393,604.86. Payroll taxes were $28,731.50, and retirement was $53,158.96.
Move to pay the bills as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item number 8, Teresa Wrigley with Mercy Management, authorization for county judge to sign 2013 State Homeland Security Program Law Enforcement Terrorism Prevention Activities Grant for purchase of portable surveillance cameras for the sheriff's office.
This is our usual Homeland Security grant. It's in the amount of $21,447. There's no cost to the county, and it's for portable surveillance cameras for the sheriff's office. It'll be available for them to reach rural areas that's hard to have access to help with counterterrorism and other activities.
Move we authorize judge to sign. Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item number 9, this is the sheriff's office, authorization for county judge to sign R-10 service agreement renewal notice for Office of Attorney General statewide automated victim notification service called VINE program.
So moved. Second.
Is VINE, Laura, is VINE the proper terminology on this, or have they something changed on it?
It's both.
Oh, so this
The
is,
contract kind of does both, so.
Okay,
which
so it's-
kind of incorporated.
all right, so VINE is okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. We got a motion and a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10, Jane Hill with Courthouse Cafe, discussion action on reimbursement for refrigerated goods spoiled due to power failure. I need to table this one.
Move the table.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11, Esther Scarborough with floodplain, discussion action to cancel, vacate Holly Glen subdivision.
I've given you each copies of this. We've run the ad in the paper for 3 weeks as required. Mr. Jimmy McKim at Hooks Title sent a letter back, which I've also provided a copy to you for, saying that they can't find where anything is out of the ordinary with it, no mortgage, no liens. So I'm asking you for Ms. Burris to vacate this subdivision so she and her sister can make use of the land.
As part of the record, we just had a meeting, open records meeting
Yes, sir.
this morning.
And there was no one there in attendance, and I've received no phone calls on this.
This was subdivision that was never developed.
Yes, sir.
Was it platted with the county?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12, Esther Scarborough, discussion action to accept preliminary plat for Westwood Village 3 subdivision, Phase 3.
And Judge, I'm asking you to table this. They were unable to prepare all their paperwork for court this morning.
I move with table.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13, Esther Scarborough, discussion action to accept final plat and enter 1-year warranty period for Oak Ridge Park subdivision.
Okay, we're basically here really to start the 1-year warranty period. The final plat has been accepted, and we're asking to go into the 1-year warranty period. And I have Don King and Don Burrow with Fitz and Shipman here representing the county today, and I have Mr. Earl Frost, who's the developer, and I have Mr. Dessermo, who is a property owner there. The letter that's before you is from Fitz and Shipman, and it has several deficient items that the erosion of the backfill of ends of culvert pipes at Keith Road should be restored and concrete installed to prevent further erosion, and damage done to the shoulder of Tapa Trail in several areas should be repaired. But overall, there's some drainage that they're suggesting that the county needs to clean. Everything is listed there, and they are suggesting that we go into that 1-year warranty period with the idea that these things will be taken care of in a timely manner. And all parties are here available for any question or answers.
What is the, you said the county needed to go in and clean a drain?
Well, on Keith Road, and I believe Mr. Frost has some photos of some things he extracted from the culverts east of Tapa Trail culvert on Keith Road. I believe it was 2 culverts down. Am I correct? Or was it both?
1 and 2. Yes.
1 and 2. East of that, the drainage travels east from Keith Road.
Is this yours, Bobby, or is this yours?
And that he feels and that maybe that was because of some reason the water couldn't go on down Keith Road, is that the drainage there was congested. And also the damage that it was talking about on the shoulder of Tapa Trail, that was temporarily in the culvert. It was on the west end of the culvert on Tapa Trail, and it temporarily lodged in that culvert until it washed out down Keith Road. And the water was coming down Keith and was unable to get through there properly, so it turned and went down Tapa Trail.
This is not the one that's private?
No,
Isn't there one in there that?
Yeah.
no, sir, there's not in that
Plantation
area.
Oaks.
Oh, you're thinking of Plantation Oaks. That's a just about fully developed subdivision now.
You familiar with that drainage, Bobby?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm familiar with
Okay, this is in my precinct, and I have several problems, several things that sends up a red flag. First one, the earth backfill at the culvert pipes on Keith Road, I didn't know anything about that, and that's news to me. I didn't know, I don't see where that has anything to do with the water off of Creekwood coming across the new road. Engineering firm may know more about that than I do. But anyway, there's 3 outfall ditches that come from Creek Road headed towards this Oak Park subdivision. There's only 2 sets of culverts under the new road. At one time, there was a third one. But I happened to be out there one day when they was filling in the concrete under the new road where the third one used to be. And why, I don't know, but they was pumping concrete up in under that road, and it's 200 foot north of the station, to the sewer station. And that's about where the outfall ditch from Creekwood comes over. But on the other side of the new road, there was not any evidence of an outfall ditch east of the new road. So I don't know what happened there. I just know that years ago, when I first took office, you couldn't drive down that road because they were washed out places all up and down the road. So apparently, over the years, it had made its own outfall ditches. And I just have a problem with 2 sets of culverts be enough drainage to drain Crestwood, Keith Road, the road the water that comes off of Creekwood across through those outfall ditches to that new road. I just have a problem with 2 sets of culverts being able to adapt to that. Now, the engineers, I'm sure they're smarter than I am on the flow of water, and I'm sure they have a different version of how that's supposed to be, but just from an old country boy's standpoint, I just don't think I think we need another culvert.
Can I address that?
Sure.
I'm certainly no engineer either, and I'm just an old country boy also. So what the engineers are telling us, and we got the engineers here, and I'm sure that they'll be happy to speak also, but the culvert that was plugged off was at the high point of the road. There's not a lot going to run under that road at the high point. Now, there was a water issue out there back during the 6-inch rain in an hour. And it did flood the street, which is at that culvert area, okay?
Yes, sir.
But the problem there existed, it was a 2-phase problem. Down on Keith Road, below the outfall of the new road that we put in, there was 2 culverts down there that was clogged up. You know, I was told by 2 people, to include the engineers, that, stay here, that the water was being blocked and sent back up into the subdivision. If you want to just look at these pictures, this is what I pulled out of the culverts, culvert 1 and 2, below this actual street. Now, to top all that off, during construction, and that's what the phase that we were in at that time, we had 2 dams across the drainage on the new road, on Talpa Road. And those 2 dams, needless to say, wasn't going to let that water out of there. We had water backing up into it. We had water that wouldn't go out because we had dams across the actual drainage ditch. And you know, that presented our whole problem right there. Now, as far as the drainage that goes across the roads, there is 3 drainage that comes out of Creekwood, that's correct. There's none of them at the high point. There's one of them that's 200 yards north of the high point of the road. And then there's one on each end, not on each end of the road, but each third section of the end of the road, which you and I went out there at one time and you know, there was 24-inch culverts everywhere out there, and we thought that, you know, it'd be a good idea to put a 36. Well, we put two 36s. So we actually put 72 inches worth of drainage in there to assure that we got rid of that water. And they performed quite well, needless to say. But the problem existed, and the reason that that we had the water in there was nothing more than we had it dammed up where it couldn't get out. And you know, it's pretty much that simple.
Which culverts was these, them pictures, which culverts was they, all this in? Pass that back.
All right, if you was at Keith Road and Talpa, which is the new road, okay? The first and second culvert on the downflow.
Okay, the two that y'all put in.
No, sir. No, they're on the lady's house on the corner. They're her culverts.
On Keith Road.
On Keith Road, on the downfall of Keith Road.
Okay.
You know, and I'll be honest with you. You know, I looked at them and didn't see anything. You know, and finally after the water was completely receded, I got down in there to get that stuff out of there.
I wasn't made aware that there was a problem down there. That's the first I heard of it.
Well, it apparently was a real problem because the water couldn't go down Keith Road, so all the water coming down Keith Road out of Creekwood and you know, the next 2 miles was backing up into this subdivision. And you know, I think these people seen it firsthand, you know, so, you know, I'd like to let them speak also. Any other questions?
What is your request on the outfall ditch? How far are you talking about going down? Does it run with the road, or does it run away from the road? How far are you talking about that you're asking the county to take responsibility for?
On the clean out of the, where he's talking about on Crestwood. You wanna,
Okay, I think that's Don King that's requesting that. Okay? Am I right?
Yes. Yeah, the last paragraph on the first page of our letter, what we're talking about there is there are some existing east-west ditches, and those two ditches really drain Creekwood, really, I guess, on the very north end where it ties into Park Road. There's a ditch that goes out there that goes to the east. And those currently run between the lots within their subdivision plat. They provided easements on there, but those ditches are pretty woolly, or, you know, grown up with trees and such. And so, you know, those are probably going to be a maintenance item, you know, in the future. You know, they have been serving, I guess, Creekwood, just going across this property and headed on out to the east. And so that's what we're suggesting, is that those ditches get cleaned out, basically from the boundary of this subdivision, which is about 300 or 400 feet east of the road to about, 300 or 400 feet west of the road to about 300 feet east of the road.
Okay,
You know,
well,
in there.
this right here, it is our opinion that the Creekwood storm drainage ditch should be cleared of overgrowth and debris as it appears to be constricted. Well, that's west of the new road. That has nothing to do with the water that accumulates on the new road. That would just, if you clean that out, just put it there faster, which I agree it probably needs to be cleaned out, but that would have nothing to do with this situation.
Well, I guess in generic terms, we call that ditch the Creekwood outfall. Really, it passes through the subdivision. There's actually two main ditches, and then there's one off the north end where it ties into Park Road as well.
See, the county does not have any jurisdiction east of this road, east of the new road. We don't have any easements or anything. All we had the easements, U Club give us the easements from Creekwood to the old road bed, which is the new road now.
Okay,
So we don't have we don't have a dog in the race on the new road east of there.
okay. Well, within this subdivision plat, in between those lots, there were easements reserved for the ditch that's there. So at this point, there would be, accessibility to be able to get in there. When they developed this subdivision, that was part of the,
I just wanted the court to understand that the ditch between the new road and Creekwood, right here, it probably needs to be cleaned out. It has nothing to do with the water that's already accumulated up on the new road. That has nothing to do with it.
Is that something that falls under our jurisdiction?
Well, it's something falling, but the water's already there. The water got back. If you clean it out, it's just gonna get there faster.
Right.
Which it may need cleaning out. I don't know. We hadn't got that far yet.
Is that water ultimately going to Boggy Creek?
correct, yeah. It goes to the east, about a half a mile maybe, something like that.
There is a ditch at the end of French Road that circles around Rolling Hills and feeds into Boggy Creek. This water goes to this ditch that circles on around and goes to Boggy Creek.
Does the county have easements all the way from this subdivision to Boggy Creek?
Nope.
That's gonna be a problem. I think that's something in the future we're gonna have to look very carefully at. Is when we build a subdivision, and it may have internal drainage, but when it leaves there, Hardin County doesn't have a drainage district.
Correct.
So Hardin County has limited authority to maintain ditches, construct ditches and stuff like this, to get it to where it needs to go. This is developing in several places, and, it's too late to do anything about this one.
The only easement that the county has got is those three between Creekwood and this new road. That's all we have. The rest of it,
Yeah.
we don't have.
Well, as I say, the new subdivision plat that was recorded several months ago, in between the lots where there was existing ditches even before this subdivision was
Yeah.
built. And on the plat, those areas are reserved as now drainage easements, and they were on that plat a couple of months ago. So that was one of the conditions that we put on there, is that the existing ditches that are, not alongside the road, they're running crossways from the road, that, at least within the limits of this subdivision, they had to give easements. So that way, in and when and if either a drainage district or whatever, it may at this point just be up to the homeowners or subdividers to keep those ditches clear. But that was, one of the conditions is now there's easements on them so that there's a legal right for somebody to get in there and clean the ditches.
That's in the subdivision.
That's within the
But
subdivision.
when it leaves the subdivision, heading east to get to Boggy Creek,
That's correct.
That's gonna be the problem.
Outside the limits of this subdivision, it's,
you can keep everything clean from where you're talking about on Creekwood all the way through there. But when you leave the subdivision, going the way the drainage goes, as I understand it,
right,
the county has no authority to do any cleaning.
okay.
So that's gonna be a bottleneck from now on.
Right. Well, like I said, that kind of was one of the reasons that we brought it up, is just because it is an issue.
Yeah, and I think in the future, on all subdivisions, we're gonna not only have to look at drainage internal to the subdivision, we're gonna have to look at where does that water ultimately go to? And if the county has no authority to control where the water goes to, then we've got a problem.
Right.
It may have to be dealt with a internal retention pond levees or something like that.
Right.
So this area is getting pretty highly developed, and, I know that just had a request Esther and I are dealing with where people wanted us to take water and take it down Keith Road. I don't need any more water on my end of Keith Road. I got more water than I can handle now, because there's no place for it to go. It needs to go to Black Creek, and the county is not in the drainage business, so. We just I mention that so that you can keep it in mind, because you're the one that's.
Right,
looking
as
at
we
it.
review,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
I guess back to what do we do with this one here, that's the main question.
It seems to be Bobby's contention that, it was the water that was trapped in the high point of the road. And I know you and Don had seen the dams that was in there, and that was what was.
Right, yeah, if I can address that. We did come out the day of don't remember what the date was, but when we got that 6-inch rain and everything, Don and I came out that afternoon about 1 o'clock, and it had gone down a little bit then, but it was still, fairly good amount of water on the road and all. And there were, I believe it was between the lift station area and there's a ditch north of it where there's some culvert pipes. Or maybe it was south. Anyway, there was a couple of areas where I think the people who bought the lots maybe had put in some dirt from the road almost at level going across, and that was blocking a bunch of that water that's supposed to go north up to the culvert and turn, and it just wasn't getting there.
The contractor actually put that dam in there as a road to go in and drop off fill.
Okay. Well, anyway, and we talked to them that day, and just within a day or two, then they got that out of there because that was, I mean, it wasn't that much, but, you know, a foot or two of dirt in there in that ditch was enough to block it up and just kind of hold it on some of those lots and all. And so we looked at it since, and the road ditches on particularly the west side, well, both sides, but they're graded to where it's getting to where the double barrel 36 are north of the lift station, and then down on the south end, there's 2 double barrel 36s as well. And it's getting where it needs to go.
Say 12 hours or the next day after that big flood, what did the water situation look like?
I wasn't here
But you
12 hours
had it pretty well
afterwards.
gone down?
It was gone, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the same way out of Pinewood. I had areas that didn't even flood in the Allison and the big floods. But we had the same amount of rain in a 1 hour period. That's a flash flood.
That's correct.
And you can't hardly design enough covers to take care of a flash flood. I mean, but what I looked at and what I told the people when I went out and looked at it, let's look at it 12 hours from now.
Mm-hmm.
If it's gone, then, you know, the drainage is as good as we can probably do. With a flash flood, you see them in West Texas, you see them on TV all the time. Flash flood is an animal that you cannot really get enough culverts in a subdivision to deal with. But anyway,
And you're absolutely right. That's
Yeah, it was-
exactly what happened. And in flat land, there's no way.
No way. I saw areas that I had never seen in my 17 years as a commissioner in Pinewood that were flooded. And the people couldn't understand it, but it was a flash flood. 12 hours later, the water was gone. So,
Do we need to get Esther to
I don't know, Bobby, what do you?
set up a meeting to start changing these subdivision
I
regulations?
think we do. We're gonna have to look at the things that are outside our control. And a lot of these subdivisions being built, although the internal drainage is fine, it's when it leaves there, then we have no control to control the drainage after that. And you can have
That's
perfect.
been a long time overdue. Esther and I just had a meeting this past week with one of them down there that is a result of what you're talking
Yeah.
about, so.
Well, we'll have to do something. We may have to start requiring the developers to build the slabs up higher. I don't know.
Well, all
have to
those
do
things
something.
do is put another brick in the dam. The
Well-
problem is you gotta be able to get rid of the water somewhere.
I wasn't here, but my road foreman told me that, the west ditch was completely full. It was running over the water, even up there where the lift station was. So that tells me even if that one culvert that was at the end of that outfall ditch from Creekwood to there, if it was in there, it would have helped. Now, that's just my contention. And the engineers,
You're not taking into consideration the dam that we had in there.
yeah, well,
We
I'm
dammed that water
like I
up in
say,
there.
I'm just going by what I think. Now, engineers, that's their job. They're supposed to be able to figure things like that out.
My personal observation that morning, I went straight there I was there about 7:30, and water was coming down the Keith Road ditch on the north ditch, was coming down, and it could not go through those culverts there at Talpa and Keith Road. And then I wasn't aware of the blockage on the 2 south of that, but you could literally see the water coming down Keith and turning and going into that neighborhood because it couldn't get through that culvert.
Well,
Some of the materials had become loosened and fallen into that ditch, and you could see it was a really tight swirl, like when it's going through a small opening, almost like a bathtub drain.
It was a flash flood out at
Right.
Pinewood. We had ditches running backwards. But after 3 hours, they started running the right way. Too much water accumulated.
We pretty much had that on Park Road too. We had
But
a
y'all
ditch
has taken the
go-
dams out, so that's,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All the
Well,
ditches are
and we
completed.
repaired all, we didn't have any of the drainage finished at that point in time. There was none of it that was finished. And we had some of it dammed up, but now it is completely finished.
yeah.
And I'd
Why
like to
were you in
remind the
agreement
court,
to start the 1-year warranty period?
Esther, am I going to get a chance to speak? before we
yes,
go
sir.
too far down
Yes, sir.
the
Mr.
line here?
Destermo, who is a property owner there, is here today, and he would like to speak. He was out there that morning when I got there also.
Judge?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I want to pass this around to you because I was there that morning. First of all, I've lived out there 28 years on Creekwood. I own property, I live on it. And in back of me, I bought 4 lots in back of me. I think it's going to be a wonderful subdivision. Want it approved. I don't know if I want it approved before the drainage is proven right or somebody responsible for that drainage later other than the property owner. So let me show you what happened that morning. One side of this, where you see the water, that's the new road going down. One side of this, the water made it, plenty of water made it to that road. And there's almost no water on the other side except on each end. And you've got a 1/2 mile blockage, a dam, you built a dam there, 1/2 mile long, that there's no way under. Now, I questioned that when I first looked at it because I've lived out there and everything drains quick to Boggy Creek. Over a 1/2 mile away, maybe a mile. But it drained before. The road bed's been back there, not finished for many years, so like Bobby said, it must have eaten some holes in it. I had water backed up on my property. This is a 400 feet distance back to Creekwood, to the back of Creekwood. And I had water backed up on my property 4 inches, and it stayed there 4 hours. I've lived here 28 years, it never happened. So I think, and as far as a matter of ditches clogged and what have you, there's always going to be some ditches clogged. I think the drainage, because there's no way under that road, is very marginal. You know, we've had a lot of flash floods. We have 200-year floods since I've been out there, so we can expect another flash flood, and who knows when. You know, I want you to take it. Can I pass this around?
Yeah.
Now, if there's a dam, I want to say one other thing. Any dam, the lift station back here, if there's a few loads of dirt there, that's going to go around that like the Natchez River on this day. I was out there that morning, and I walked it in the rain, and I looked at it later. Now, when Mr. King came out, what he saw was he sees debris washed over the road. It had drained considerably by 1 o'clock. But you could tell where it had gone over the road. Now, I know enough about roads. I don't know anything about roads, but I've had to make sure mine stayed repaired. I know a bad plan is running water over the roads and it trying to come under the concrete and what have you. So that's not a drainage plan as far as I'm concerned. I don't propose to say I know anything about roads, but if from a novice viewpoint, I think it needs some more culverts under that road in between the over a 1/2 mile between the culverts they're in. Now, I don't want to see this man have to go out and spend a fortune trying to dig up a big slab of concrete and take these big, huge culverts and put them in. I don't know what's possible today. I don't want culverts in there that would be blocked easily, so maybe 36 inch or something. And maybe there's a way to put those under the road without tearing up the road. But my observation is, if we don't put some culverts under that road a couple of places, that won't be the last time you have water back up. You don't want people, you can build your house up, but you don't want your water, you don't want the whole addition on one side flooding and the other side not having any water on it.
Okay.
So I've got a camera full of pictures here. If anybody wants to question what I'm saying, it's just the fact. And I do agree with everything that's been said here this morning by every person that said it.
Don, have you seen this picture?
But I don't have to be a civil engineer to spot a flood.
I received some email pictures, I'm not sure if that's the specific picture, but yeah, I was aware that when we were out there was debris on the road that gave evidence that it had overtopped the road probably a few hours earlier.
Yeah. And the other side of the road, I assume, was,
That's
the water was down.
Yeah. Drain's about 2 foot lower than that side.
Pretty
so it drained
typical.
right down there.
I'd like to remind the court too that Mr. Frost is, if we do go into the 1-year warranty period, that he is putting up the 10% of the total cost of the road that would be accessible to the county should it not be taken care of. And the 1-year warranty period does not necessarily mean 1 year. It can be when the road is functioning properly. That's just a reminder.
Well, the question is, would the 10% take care of the financial responsibility if you have to go in there and do something like that? It's a lot easier to do it at the beginning than it is to do it at the end when the developer's moved out. Because all you get's a hand in the rearview mirror saying thank you.
Well, it's pretty evident that the road is blocking the water.
Right, right.
We're pretty familiar with this situation because the road in Beaumont that goes out down to the lower Natchez facility where the saltwater barrier is, did the same thing during the big floods. It took the water on the opposite side of the road, the south side was 3 foot down, and they didn't have enough culverts in that road. The road formed a dam. And that's basically what I see here. Now, you know, the other side looks dry. I don't know how far it is down to the water. But we had that situation on several places out in Pinewood. We had to go in there and put additional big culverts because the water would come up, and in order to go over the road, the water was down 3 foot on the other side. And we went in there and put big 48-inch culverts in it, considerable cost. And we didn't totally equalize the water out, but we did a lot to keep it out of those houses. I don't know what's on the right-hand side of this picture here, but it's evident that the water has to get to the height of the road before it can go over and relieve itself.
Reach over.
Is that what it's doing? I mean, that's what it's doing, I can see from the picture.
Sorry. You asked, who you asking, me?
Well, I'm just asking anybody who wants to answer the
Well,
question.
tell me what the question is.
The water, you can see the water as far as the eye can see here, it's up to the road. The other side is dry over here.
That's right.
So there's no doubt the water's a dam.
It is. And what
And the
you're
only way
saying,
to cure that is put more culverts on that road. I mean, this situation will never get any better. You'll be living with it, the county will be living with it, somebody will be living with it from now on. And when we know the situation exists, then I think we have to make some type of preparations. Because this is gonna, every time you have lots and lots of rain, it will be a situation from now on.
But why did that situation exist?
Because there's not enough culverts on the road, very simply.
Is it that, or is it that water was backing up off of Keith Road up there and we was damming it up?
Well, you could have a combination. You could have a combination.
Okay,
There wasn't any way for that water to get out with the dam in there.
Mr. Frost, that road is 8/10 of a mile long. All right, and that sewer station is sitting on the highest point on that ground.
that's where my property is,
That's-
right by
that's
there.
It's sitting right there. All right, according to that picture, you've got water all the way from Keith Road to Park Road. So therefore, it was running over. If Keith Road had it stopped up, why would it back up that far and be all on the west side of the new road? It just don't make sense that it would back it up.
We talked about that just a few minutes ago. It was a flash flood.
The lowest
There's
place on,
nothing designed
The
for a
lowest
fast
place-
flash flood.
the lowest place on this road, just north of Keith Road, I don't remember how many feet it is, but it's a dip in the road. There's 2 large culverts there. All right, when water runs through those culverts, it goes to Keith Road.
No, sir, it runs down to Boggy Creek.
That's what I mean. It head towards Keith Road, because there's no outfall ditch just east of those culverts. There's no outfall ditch, so it has to turn right and go Keith Road. Now, those culverts may have been stopped up, I don't know.
There is an outfall ditch.
That's going right through that woman's yard. There's an outfall ditch there?
Yes, sir. You and I met out there and we talked about it in the very beginning.
Is it there now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't remember seeing it, but, if you say it's there, it's there. All right, this water down here at the bottom, Park Road is running under the new road and going on out to James Dodson, James Dodson's property. And we have an easement to go in there and clean that out and turn right and go a little ways down beside, your property. And, we have the easement to do that. We have the right to go in there and clean that out. But, Carl, my road foreman, told me that was no problem. It was running through there just as fast as it could.
And that's true.
The drainage through the double culverts on each end wasn't a problem. There was a lot of water going through those culverts. There was just a lot of water.
Well, there was a lot of water going through them, but why was the water going over the road? I mean, I assume before this road was put in, that water just went across there.
It did. Everything heads to the creek in a hurry.
Yeah.
30 minutes, it's over.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another thing that hadn't been brought out yet. The ditches was not on grade, neither side of the road, but they're supposedly on grade now, right?
Yes, sir, they are.
That is correct.
The ditches were not dug out on grade, they were
at
just,
this time.
so,
Yeah, all the ditches are in.
it may be corrected. I don't know. The engineers, they supposed to know what they're talking about. They're supposed to know what they're doing, but I don't know.
And this photograph that they weren't on grade?
No, they were
Yeah,
not, they were
this-
not completed.
Yeah,
I'll give you one other observation.
ditch on this side and ditch on this side was not on grade. They were not
And
dug
the
out. They
concrete
were
hadn't been
just-
poured?
Pardon?
The
But they are
concrete
on
hadn't
grade
been
now.
poured?
The concrete was in place. This is, what, 4 weeks ago?
The concrete
That-
was in
2 weeks
place,
ago.
but there was no
Thank you.
drainage cut.
Ken, they done an immaculate job on the road. I mean, I watched them pour the concrete on the road. It's immaculate. It's
You know,
perfect.
We're sitting here
But I
talking
knew
about.
I knew there's gonna be a problem with the drainage, but I figured surely that it would work itself out.
We're sitting here talking about the drainage that's not working because it wasn't there.
The, there was, the ditches were not prepared as they were supposed to because it had been raining and been muddy and they'd been working on the shoulders of the road. The ditches were not prepared. They are now
It was under
prepared.
construction.
Can I say one more thing? I'm
Say
gonna
it.
answer that question. That is correct, and I knew what was gonna be said. Really, a lot of people here weren't here that day. I was there. So I know what happened, and I got an idea why it happened. Now, the truth is, the ditches were not there exactly. They didn't build that concrete road without having a ravine. They had about a 3 or 4 foot ravine down there. But the ditches were not finished out, and there could have been some dirt here and there.
And they were dammed up.
Wouldn't have made any difference. Now, Roy Beard knows a heck of a lot about doing work out there with bulldozer. He went out there and finished off this project and did a wonderful job. He brought a lot of the dirt that was on the lots back in the ditches, and then he made the ravine look a lot birdier. But I don't think you got any more ditch right now in depth than you had when this happened, and it ran over the road. What they did do, though, they brought the ditches down where the drainage that are planned, they brought the elevation of the ditch down to that. But I'm telling you, those ditches at both ends were doing everything 2 big ditches could do. I want houses up in here, big fancy houses, because I own some of this property, but I don't want them sitting on an island of water half of which needs to be across the road from the start.
Well, sounds like maybe we need to give them time to look at it and study it out even more. Sounds like we haven't gotten a lot further down the road than when we got started this morning. And so, what do you think, Bobby?
I think it needs to be looked at just a little bit more. Of course, now Fitz and Shipman is ready to stamp their approval on it, and that's what we have to go by. But I'm still not 100% satisfied that there's enough culverts on that road.
Here's what happened to me as a citizen. I've felt this a lot of years, and some years you got lots of money, and some never you have enough, but some years you have more money than others. So we get this in here, we get one of these floods 4 or 5 years down the road, the guarantee period's over, we look to the county to come in there and keep it, and the county does a great job in Hardin County, and Bobby does too. And, well, there's no money. We should have been in there from starts, and I'm just bringing the fact up right now before it starts, where we get it right before we build a house. And I don't know where's the money gonna come from then. You know, it might be years before we get another culvert if it has to happen.
If anybody that buys lots in there on the west side of this new road comes in and builds a house and they don't build it up a foot off the ground, they're gonna be flooded.
Oh, yeah, but if they build up what you'd normally do, but there'll still be an island, you're right. And the other side behind the island, which is the lowest side of the road.
Well, I'll point out, because I have a subdivision like this that was built in 1962. Every time you build a mound up to build a house, then that water has to go somewhere. It cannot, it's been displaced. It no longer occupies that 100 by 100 or whatever. And so that don't help the situation. That helps the homeowner not flood their home, but that compounds the drainage problem.
Well, I'm not trying to put myself above the engineers, don't misunderstand me. But I just have a gut feeling that something is not right here, and I think it ought to be addressed, and if the rest of the court wants to okay this, well, that's up to them, but I'm on thumbs down on it.
I'd make a motion that we table it till further discussion can be made and brought back before the court. Would be my motion before the court.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Just a comment, I think we're gonna have to have some assurance that the water can equalize itself on that road. Now, whether it's the culverts at the end of the road that y'all say weren't finished, but when water comes that high, the depth of the ditch on the side where the water is makes no difference. It could be 10 foot deep. It's full. Something's
Right.
causing that water to go over that road.
We can table it, we can study it, but what does that mean when the engineer says it is right?
But where's the engineer gonna be, sir, 5, 6 years from now, when you have citizens down there who have an issue? Where's the engineer gonna be?
All right, let's go another route, all right? We're throwing the engineers out to the wolves.
No,
okay, because
no,
they don't know
I
what
think
you're
we've had,
talking
I
about.
think we've had two good
Now,
commissioners.
we're saying that we want a culvert under the center of it. How about if we, and God forbid me saying, a flash flood and we get 12 inches of rain in 2 hours, what's gonna happen? The same thing's gonna happen. Not only that
Well,
subdivision, but any other subdivision.
What I've
Just
listened
saying.
to is, well, you've asked me a question, you didn't give me an opportunity to answer it. I've heard 2 tenured commissioners give you a response, and I've heard a citizen that's lived there all of his life give you a response. And in taking consideration of the amount of experience these 2 commissioners have and the landowner that lives down there, I think the right thing to do is to look at it. And whatever needs to be happened to ensure that the citizens of Hardin County are protected from future further expense due to poor construction, however long that takes, is how long it takes. Because we are here not only to help the developers, but we are here to protect the citizens of Hardin County. That's the answer to your question. How long does it take? And we're not throwing the engineers out to the wolves, okay? But we have had people come in and make promises to this court that cannot be kept. And that's why there's flood issues in Lumberton, and that's why the residents of Lumberton are hesitating every time they see a subdivision go in down there. It's not as popular as it was a decade ago.
I'd like to ask Don a question. Don, will more culverts, in your opinion, under that road, would they help prevented that picture from being able to be taken?
Yes, definitely, more culverts would, get more water across there. What I can say in general is we've reviewed the plans as they were presented, and what the criteria that's in the Hardin County standards right now is it's designed for a 5 year, it's supposed to pass a 25-year storm. Quite honestly, I don't know what our storm was the other day. I didn't really go back and see what that was, but that's kind of the criteria that is used to evaluate, and so it's a statistical thing as to what did we have the other day versus what was the design. So that's something we will get with, Mr. Frost, the engineer, and we'll talk to him about that, and, you know, everybody go back and review what they designed the first time, and then we will review, you know, if they wanna have any updates to that.
Well, and if that flood had never come, then we would have no evidence to look at today, but we do have evidence to look at. We know we've got a problem. Now, if those two dams were out, or you know, where they'd thrown dirt in, or if the roads had been totally constructed and all the drainage and everything, well, you know, we might have a different situation. I'm not convinced that we would, but we might.
Don, if we table this like we've already tabled, and you go back in there and y'all do a in-depth engineering, look at it real close, and then whatever you recommend, you come back and show it to us, and that will show that at least you've studied it real hard and looked at it. I personally don't think there's been enough attention paid to that out there. Now, I may be wrong, but I don't think there's been enough attention paid to it. That's just my gut feeling.
Well, you know, I mean, no one anticipated that rain, but we have had the rain, so now we know that there is a problem. And the time to address the problem is before it becomes a greater problem.
Right.
I mean, that's my thoughts on it, you know.
All right, we've got people that would like to start their homes out there, all right? So what if I was to give you a personal guarantee that, you know, I'll go in and put a drainage pipe in the middle of the high point of that road, if it becomes a problem? An additional, item that I'll put up, other than the 10%. And allow people to, you know, we're concerned about the people of Hardin County, you know, let's let them go ahead and continue with their lives. And you've got your warranty, because you're saying that, you know, you believe that there needs to be possibly needs to be a culvert there, and let Don study it and determine whether there needs to be a culvert. If there does, I'll put it in. If there don't, you know, it goes away.
I see no real problem in letting, you're doing lot sales now, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I see no problem with letting the people build on their lots if they want to build on them. But from the county standpoint, before this warranty period, before we start the warranty period, I don't think one culvert. Now, Don can do some calculation. You can look, you've got a picture that shows you water. And I think you can do some calculation. I don't think one culvert's gonna handle this situation. I think it's gonna take several culverts. Something has gotta let that water equalize on each side of that road. I mean, that's a calculation that certainly an engineer can make. I made them out at Pinewood and installed 4 48-inch culverts across the road in order to equalize the water on it. I mean, you don't even have to make a calculation. If the water's coming up over the road and it's down 2 feet on the other side, you gotta get it over there somehow. Now, if you had a culvert on each end that was plugged, that might have handled the water, but I doubt it. You're gonna have to have some way to get that water from one side of the road to the other side of the road.
Okay. You know, I'm not opposed to putting up an additional bond, you know.
Well, I don't know if it needs additional bond. I'm just saying that this situation needs to be corrected before the county inherits it. You know, is my, if we hadn't did a little trade-off in the last redistricting, this would be my problem. But it's Hardin County's problem, but I mean, Bobby wouldn't be talking, it'd be mine. And we've already got a lot of situations like this, and where we have the information that we do have a problem, then I think this court has got to be assured that that problem is solved before we take the thing, you know, through the warranty period.
But is it, we've already done voted
Yeah.
to table it.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can, put in the minutes before we accept the, final plat and start the 1-year warranty period, that he can go ahead and sell some lots? Is there any way we can okay that?
Well, he's selling lots.
Yeah, but I mean, they can go ahead and start building on them?
I assume when you sell the lots, they can start building.
I don't think we have any jurisdiction
I
over
don't
that.
think, I
I
think,
don't think that Esther will ever have a permit.
Right.
Oh, no,
right.
if the commissioners approve that y'all can go ahead and start building, I can't withhold a permit because
Okay.
it's not a flood zone, a FEMA flood zone.
Okay.
yeah, I think Esther has the authority to give them if you sell a person a lot, then I think it has to be understood that they can build on it.
And two, if they start construction, we might get a better idea of the drainage, how many
I
pipes we're
don't, I
gonna
don't
get out
have a
there.
problem with that, but I don't wanna accept the final plat till.
Well, the
till we
final
get-
plat has been accepted, we're trying to go into the one-year warranty period.
Warranty
I know
period.
that's on there, and that's what I explained at the beginning, that we've already accepted that final plat.
Well, it says here to accept final plat.
Yes, sir, that was a miswording on my part. It's the final plat and going in, we've already
Okay.
accepted the final plat. We're
Okay,
just going into the one-year warranty period now.
well, let's hold off on that 1 year warranty period and let them go ahead and start selling that building and, but we'll have to come back to court when, Don gets his other study done. I mean, is that acceptable?
Acceptable to me.
Is that acceptable, Mr. Frost?
Yes, sir.
Don?
Yes.
Sound to me like it's a done deal. Let's move on.
Well, I'm concerned about that out there because I've been watching it real close here lately and I just want it to be right.
Okay, item number 14, road steward personnel, discussion approval of revised job descriptions.
Well, I don't think mine is gonna be quite so long. I have 3 changes. One in the health department, the position for the public health preparedness tech went from part-time to full-time. In floodplain, the administrative clerk position was changed to first assistant position, and in maintenance, one of the custodian positions was changed to assistant supervisor. And these 3 job descriptions are reflecting the changes.
Move we
the
approve
purpose?
Go ahead. No.
That was done back when,
Budget.
during budget time, but I just now got the job descriptions reflecting those.
And just for the record, I'm sure this is gonna pass, but I'll be opposing it because I did oppose the budget. So if it is a result of the budget, I'll be opposing it. But that's just for the record.
I move we approve the revised job description.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15, Commissioner Kirkendall, discussion action to reappoint Paul Demke and Max Morrow as commissioners of the Village Mills Emergency Service District. Terms end December 31st, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 16, Commissioner Kirkendall, permission to purchase 2 new motor graders through cooperative purchasing program with financing and a trade-in of 2 old motor graders.
I'd like to table.
Oh, we table?
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
I thought
opposed?
we tabled it last time.
We did. It wasn't supposed to be on the agenda.
Oh.
We're tabling it again, Bobby.
Item number 17, Sheriff's Department, permission to purchase new vehicle with a cooperative purchasing program and trading in of 2 vehicles, a 2008 Ford Crown Victoria, VIN number 133287, and a 2007 Ford Crown Victoria, VIN number 113404.
Money in the budget, Wayne?
Yes, sir.
Move we approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Jackie Ellis, purchasing, awarding of bids for purchase of motor fuel, oil, and lubricants for all precincts. She's just been waiting to take over.
Okay, we looked in the bids and we had, 2, I guess, somewhat new bidders. For the motor fuel is Thomas Petroleum, they're out of Beaumont, and the brand name is Chevron Motiva. I'll give you some background on them, I kind of did some checking. They've been in business since 1986. They do have a 24-hour answering service. And they did say that they would respond to the first responders, which would be the county, like through the storm like WAC they do and all.
the rack price does change daily on that, so the markup on the regular and the diesel is .10. The other charges, which is .0853, and that's like their sub-freight charge, and that will be every time, and it shouldn't go up, they said. Okay, so the delivered price as of that day for the regular was 2.7151, and for, that was regular, and then the diesel is 3.0599. Now, CNI Oil Company is out of Beaumont. Their brand name is the Citgo. And he said he's been in business over 65 years. He does have a 24-hour answering service that he answers himself. Their company does. They have, they do first responders in storm situations, which we would be considered one of the first. He, and I asked him, he did say he helped with Jefferson County and Liberty County through their storms and all. The market price on that was, on theirs, for the regular was .125, for the regular diesel, 1.25. Their other charges was .03, and that's for their carrier freight charges. He also said they have tanks still, they still have the big tanks and maintain tanks at their area or whatever, their shop area. So, he said that they're one of the few that still do that. The, delivered price at that day was 2.725 for regular and 3.0465 for the diesel. So to kind of calculate it, I looked at it both ways. If we took the markup that they would have and the freight charges or their sub-freight charges or whatever, like on Thomas Petroleum is 0.18, and then on CNI I did 0.15 if you add it together. I don't know which way y'all want to look at this. Kind of.
Which do you recommend?
Well, if we go by the lowest, it looks like it would be CNI.
On both of them?
Yes, sir. On both. Yes, sir.
We've never dealt with either one of them, have we?
Yes, sir. Never dealt. I spoke to them both on the phone. And Thomas Petroleum is Sandra Kirkpatrick, and CNI is Steve Thomas, I think is his name. I'm not for sure. I have to look back at it. So, no, I really don't. We completely new, so I need a little bit of input from what y'all see.
Not knowing either one of them, I suggest we go with the low bidder.
That, we're making a motion for CNI.
Yeah, is
Is that how y'all look at it?
If we do that, then they'll be low bid on everything, so, from what I see.
I don't know, the markup is, the markup on the Thomas was cheaper, but they had that other sub-freight charges that put that up, when you put the two together, you're gonna have that each time, is how I understood it, and that's how she explained it. So I looked at it both ways that way, so,
They're low bidder all the way through then, right?
Yes.
I move we go with CNI as a low
Second.
bidder.
okay, and I'll read off the,
Okay.
do I need to read the transmission and all that for them?
Let's print it out.
Okay, just print it out and then, okay.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We stand adjourned.
And you said Suncoast just,
He missed
Yeah.
it, she
Said
called
they
me,
did.
I called him the day before and left word with Timothy and called him